So I'm Anne Gauthier. I'm French Canadian. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, just say, "Hey, what are you talking about?" I will try to make myself clear. This is my blog. This is the project on what I was working on, and I will talk about it. And I will give you all the details if you want to go back to my blog and see all the work that I am working on. This is for secure code reviews that we will talk today, but on my blog you can have some papers on cryptography, maybe if someone is interested in, or a lot of papers that I write is on about application security. And in French, this is mean that we are all screwed. We will be hacked every day. So anyway, this is my blog, so there's a lot of interesting stuff on it in French and in English. So let's start. All right. So just to for my knowledge of the audience, who are developers? Web developers, mobile, everything? Perfect. Who are a project manager? All right. Great. Okay. Perfect. So okay, that's fine. And who are working as a QA, quality assurance? All right. And is there any security testing in your environment for all of you who are working with mobile and web application and stuff? All right. So great. So we will talk about security testing. So a little bit about me. So like I said, I'm Anne Gauthier. I am an application security analyst at Gauthier. Basically, it's a consultant firm in cybersecurity. What I do at Gauthier, I do secure code reviews. I help the client to improve their software development lifecycle with specific security activities to be sure that the security is built in the application that they put on the internet. And as well, I have a penetration testing background. So basically, it means that I break every application, and it's interesting. We will talk about it. Also, I am a software engineer from École de Technologie Supérieure. So it's a lot of emotional for me to be here because I was here before, a few years ago. I am now pursuing part-time a Master of Engineering in Information System Security at Concordia. I am OWASP Montreal chapter leader. Basically, OWASP is Open Web Application Security Project. It's an open community, global community. It's international, and we have a local chapter here in Montreal, and I am the president of it. We are creating a lot of activities to share the knowledge of security with the community. So I will give you all my contact details if you want to keep in touch. I am the author of the Project 201 security blog that I showed you just before, and I will give you the reference. And I started my career as a developer. And as well, I am a photographer, sorry. Stream stress, I love fashion, I am a globetrotter too, and I am passionate about art. So this is it. Okay, let's talk about application security. So today we will talk about hybrid security testing. What is it? So we will talk about code review, secure code review, which is white box, which is about static, which means the source code. This is why we are calling it white box, because the rule of the game, we can see everything. This is white box. Then we add it with the penetration testing activities. This is called black box because we have no idea of how the application works. This is dynamic because we are breaking the application while it's running, all right? And if we take all the strength of those two activities, we have an hybrid security testing approach, which is the best of both worlds. So we will talk about it today. So question number 1, we will try to ask this question, or answer this question. So when is it time to perform security testing during the software lifecycle development. And question number 2 is how can we do it? How can we do the secure code review? How can we do the penetration testing? And I will show you, because security, it's complex, it's hard, but I will try to show you some demos to visualize what is it about. So, like I said, I am working in a cybersecurity consultant firm, so I work with a lot of clients, and I just want to share with you what I see in real world. So this is the current security testing model in software companies. Software companies, it's everything: mobile development, application development, anything about web, all right? So everyone, on my opinion, has a really strength software development lifecycle, SDLC. It's really mature, but so you will see that they all start with the requirements, what the business needs. Then they go to the design phase. Then they develop in the implementation phase. They do some verification with the QA, you know, functional testing. Is it what it should be working and stuff? And then they release it in production. If you are working in an agile methodology, you go through that process iteratively with a sprint that can go 2 weeks or 3 weeks, depending on the company. But this is how software development lifecycle looks like. And the current testing model in software companies, they are testing only here. When I do my mandate, they are asking us to test right the day before going to production. It's really late to test there because it costs a lot to fix security flaws here. Okay, so this is the current model. I'm going to show you what the ideal security testing model is. So we have our SDLC, so software development lifecycle. And about just security testing, the best practice is to, you know, in literature you will see the theory about shift left. So the shift left approach is to push the security testing earlier in the SDLC. So you have to test from here when you develop and you go through the production. Today we are only focusing on security testing, but I want to make sure that you understand that in the SDLC there's a lot of other security activities that you should put through all your SDLC. But today we won't cover it, but I want you to make sure that it's important to consider security every time. So my first demo here, it's since we are talking about application security, I would like you to think about your application in your business or the one that you are developing it, but in a malicious way, all right? So let's do a demo. Demo time. So this demo, I created it myself to show my clients the malicious way of seeing their application. And it's funny because I took the picture that, I don't know if you know, here in Montreal we have the largest French newspaper in North America, which is La Presse, and I was a press photographer before, so I created a website, a vulnerable website, and I put some pictures on it. And anyway, so this is an application that you are all used to see, all right? So it's a newspaper application, so readers can read articles, see articles, and if I don't know if you can see right, so in a malicious way, right away, I can see that they are not working on HTTPS, so it means that everything goes in clear text. So the passwords go in the channel clear text. So I see that the view, they are showing the numbers. So basically what it tells me is that you have a database behind with all the articles that are bound with a number, and the number is showed here in the application. So what about if I put some malicious string there? What will be the behavior of the application? So this is try to think in the malicious way. So let's see that if I put 6, which is a normal behavior, I will see another article. But in my perspective, I will try to break this, all right? So another perspective, so if I talk with the client, let's say, and he said, so you can log in. We have 3 levels of privileges in our application. The first one have almost no privilege, which is the reader. Then we have the journalist. So let's try to log as a journalist to understand the normal behavior and then try to break it to see how it will behave and if the security controls are implemented in the source code to see to protect against the hacker. So if we see the normal behavior and we are a journalist, so I will log in as a journalist, and my name is Patat. And so I can see that, okay, I am logged in as a journalist. The URL is manage papers. Okay, so I can add some new article. Boom, this is really interesting for me. So you are giving a functionality to upload the article on the web server, and probably that article, when you are displaying it to your reader, you are fetching it from your web server and displaying it. For me, I will try to put some malicious code there and try to go through the application and go inside your corporate network and do whatever I want. So this is a malicious perspective. Okay, so if we continue, the clients say, okay, we have also a login page, or from the website, an administrator can log in, to do some administrative activities. This is interesting. So, okay, let's see what's the normal behavior of an administrator. So the administrator, let's say, is Serge, and this is his password. So from the administrator, he can manage the front page of today, which is interesting. Can I deface it? Can I put something that I want on the front page? And then also he can manage journalists. So he can create accounts from the application. And I see that the URL is manage journalists. Can I access it without being logged? We don't know. We will try this. So this is just to give you an example of how we see the application in a malicious way, not in a functional way, not as the business requirements ask us to implement the application, but how can we break it to go through your corporate network and be God. That's the goal. And the goal is to get all your precious critical assets that you try to protect, your username, passwords, and stuff like that, depending of your context, okay? So this is only just a beginning to see how we see stuff in a malicious way. It's all good? Ça va? So the first one that we talked about, so the secure code review, because we are trying here to understand when we are security testing and what kind of security testing to do. So let's talk about the first one, the secure code review. So I would like to share with you a quote of my, I'm so fan of this author that I will share with you. So he said, all software projects are guaranteed to have one artifact in common, which is source code. Because of this guarantee, it makes sense to center a software assurance activity around code itself. So this is my favorite author in software security or application security. It's Gary McGraw. He wrote a lot of nice books, and his quote is really interesting. So this is all about secure code review. So I'm going to show you a little demo on static code analysis tool. Okay. So for the developer, you will see that this is a typical environment to develop application. It's called an IDE. It's where the developer develop the application. You remember I said that secure code reviews should be really earlier in the secure software lifecycle. So the developers should have in their IDE, in their day-to-day tool, a tool to do static code analysis in a secure way. So here, the example is with our tool, which is called Find Security Bugs. And here, I just want to show you that if the developer runs it every day, he can have a real feedback quickly that if he create a security flaw right away in their source code. For example, here, the Find Security Bugs tool, he finds a clear pattern of SQL injection, and he describes all the problems to help the developer to fix it, and gives a lot of information. So this is just to help you visualize that developers can have static code analysis tool to see if they implement security flaws in their source code. So this one is really interesting. There's a lot of tools that are available depending on the language. So let's go back here. So as I remember, like I said, so you do secure code reviews with static code analysis tool here in the implementation phase. Basically, you try to run your scan every day. So we will talk about some notes about secure code reviews. So you use static code analysis tool during the implementation phase. Multiple free tools are available depending on the language. And I will give you some references at the end to go and to get some tools depending on what you are working with. So it provides rapid feedback to developers and to the business too, and help find security flaws earlier in the development. What you should consider though with this kind of security activities is an automated tool will identify patterns for which it has been programmed to search for. It's not a human brain, so he will only find what he's capable of. Just because it's easy to have a false emotion of security or sense of security. Thank you, because you have a tool. It's not right. It's why you have to have a hybrid security to be sure that you have a cover, a better coverage. So no software can replace human brain. So it means that it requires security skills to perform this. So one thing to do is to train the developers to understand the security flaws, how to fix it, and stuff like that. Penetration testing. Another quote for my favorite author. I can't say it. Author. You understand? Yeah? Okay. So if you fail a penetration test, you know you have a very bad problem indeed. If you passed a penetration test, you don't know that you don't have a very bad problem. So, yeah. Ouais. Oops. Merci. So, this is my... so, again, don't have the false sense of security. If the penetration testing say, hey, I didn't find critical security flaws. Think about it. So let's do a little demo, break some stuff. Okay. All right. So let's go back to our journal newspaper. So here, so like I said, we have a parameter here, which I think, and it is bind to a database or into the backend anyway. So let's try, and the malicious string that I will inject, it's not important. Just see the behavior, right? It's all the, let's say that, okay, I'm gonna inject some stuff. Let's say, woman tech maker is awesome. Tech makers, boom, boom, boom. We will see how it's gonna behave. So this is like a malicious string. It is actually not that malicious. It's JavaScript, right? But, oops. C'est ça. So what it tells me, now it's not malicious because I just create a little pop-up to say hello world, but this means that if I inject malicious script, the browser will execute it. So what if I send this URL to everybody with and I can maybe obfuscate my malicious string, you know, in the big long token stuff to hide my malicious string. I send this URL to everyone. Everyone can access it because I'm not logged in now. And if they click on that link, I will infect everyone. This is critical, you know what I mean? So this is one example that this application is vulnerable to cross-site scripting, XSS. Let's see that I told you that probably it's behind or in front of a database. Did I put some? Yeah. So let's try if it's vulnerable to SQL injection. If it is, I can send any malicious string and maybe dump the database, see all the user passwords, drop the tables, do anything. It's up to me. So let's see. Yeah, yes it is. Oh la la. I'm gonna show you. Boom, boom, boom. How it tells me is that it's really verbals. I don't know if you see it. Is it too... So you have an error and you see called syntax, check this, and this is where I crash. So it tells me a lot of information. I know that it's a MySQL database, it's behind. I know the syntax of the query behind. So I always tell my client, don't put verbals error message in your client side because it gives valuable information to the attacker. So this application is vulnerable to SQL injection. Then I told you when we did the demo on to see the application in a malicious way, we know that, and I was there, let's see that, yeah, so yeah, I was not logged, and even if I am logged, the script will work too. So remember that in an administrative privilege, he has access to manage journalists. So here, I am not logged in. And what if I know by heart the URL to manage the journalist? Oops. Yes. So this is access control. So I am not logged in. And because I know the URL to access an administrative page, I can add any journalist. So I can add a backdoor and do whatever I want. So I want an account here, Anne, the journalist. And my name is Anne1. And my password is 123. Add. The journalist was added. Good job. The other thing that I just realized is the password policy is really weak. If I can put 123, it's so weak that in the login page, a brute force attack will be really easy to guess the passwords of your users. So this is another observation, all right? So the last thing, let's say, so the upload functionality triggers me some emotions. So let's try if we... let's log in to play with the upload functionality as patat. Okay, so upload functionality. Just quickly, does it look like an article to you? No? That's right. Exactly. It's not an article. It's to do remote code execution on the web server. We will try if we can do this. So, my title is "This is a fabulous," and there's already all my stuff, but it's okay. So select your text file. All right, I will select my backdoor. All right, I will upload it to their web server. I will give an image because I think it's mandatory, so danger, let's say. And I will try to load it. Oh, the paper was added. Thanks for the contribution. So the problem here, so the application does not validate the extension of the file, does not validate the content of the file, does not see if if I have access to it, and etc. So in the pen test activities, we will have a reconnaissance phase, and we will try to understand the structure of the code. So if I did the reconnaissance phase with you, I would know that their structure is journal, paper. I will try to get to my backdoor and I will, let's see that. Let's log out just to prove that it will be accessible to anyone. And this is bad, a remote code execution. Anyone not logged can play on your web server. So let's say journal, paper, and I want have my backdoor. In my backdoor, I have a parameter. All my stuff is already there. And it missed here. So this is a malicious string that I will inject. Opalaye. This is not the normal behavior, right? I just inject a malicious string, and this is all the password and the username of the web server. This is bad. This is inside your perimeter. A lot of clients tells me that, oh, I'm okay, I have a firewall. Oh, you have a firewall, and I know everyone behind it because this is a security flaws in your application. So firewall, we don't care about firewall. In that, don't get me wrong. Okay, you get the point? Okay. So imagine that what I did, some security testing without any tools, just a browser. Imagine, say I am kind, but imagine a bad guy with specific tool, specific objective on your application, what he can do. That's the point, all right? So that was the demonstration of penetration testing. Some notes about this type of activity. So like I said, it's a black box activity. We don't know. We just try everything that we can with tools. So it can be done internally in your development team using a dynamic security testing tool. There's a lot of that are free, and there's a lot good that are you have to pay for it. It can be done. It can be performed by an external security team, as we do at Gauthier. So, like I said, multiple free tools are available as commercial one, and it provides realistic simulations of attack scenarios. And some of anecdotes about it is that during penetration testing activities, we send a lot of malicious strings to the web server, and sometimes the server crash, and the client are really sad and upset, and hey, you break everything. Yes, but the point is that you have a big problem. Imagine if a real attack happened and you have a denial of service. So it is a real point. So it is an observation. You have to be sure that you are protected against this type of activity. So some notes about penetration testing. So it requires exploitation skills. It's really hard to do. A lot of information on internet is available, but you have to have some skill sets to do that. External testers do not know the inner workings of the application. Is that what I said to you? The application should run. So this is why the companies wait at the end just before going to the production, because the application is running and stuff. The scope of the test is the key. We have a lot of mandate that the client said, okay, test this part of my application, not all the part of the application. So our report is based on the scope of what we can test, and it doesn't provide all the coverage. So you again, not the false sense of security. You know, if I just test this, I can't tell you that your application is all good. So it is really important, the scope of the test. And like I said, it costs a lot to fix a security flaw at this point, just, you know, the day before going to production. So in our ideal security testing model, so you do your penetration testing activities in the verification and release phase. Why? Because your application should run. That's the point. Okay? So assessing the security posture of an application. This is my job. So I will share with you a methodology of using a hybrid approach. So you have a client with an application. In my perspective, it's a client, but in your perspective, it can be your application, with your team, with your business, all right? So you have a mandate, or you are in the security testing mode. It's small. Eh? So you will do some security activities between it, and at the end, you will create a report, or I will send you a report. In either way, you have, you know, when you do your QA testing, quality assurance, you log your functional bugs and all that stuff, but security flaws should be logged as well in your project management tool and stuff, to be sure that you fix it and you plan to fix it, all right? So between the lines, what you will do is the hybrid approach. So you will combine secure code review and penetration testing activities. And the goal is to share information between them. And when we are doing our mandate, we have two security team, so which is the secure code review team and the penetration testing team, and we share the information. We do the mandate in a parallel way, and we share information to be sure that we can coverage the maximum of the application. Because in the white box perspective, I see everything in the application. And in the black box perspective, they don't see, but it's dynamic, so it's fast to break the application. So this is why sharing information and doing both activities is really important. So what I'm going to show you next is I created a tool to help the white box assessment, which I will show you. It will be available on GitHub really soon, so keep checking my Twitter account, and you will have the tool if maybe it can help you to do this. So the tool is focused on the secure code review part, the white box part. So basically, what I'm gonna show you is that in the white box part, I always start by understanding the attack surface. So I will try to understand your application in a malicious way. I will try to understand which component I should review to be sure that all security controls are there at the right place. So this is why attack surface is really important activity. Then I will interview the client. In your position, you can interview the developers or yourself as a developer to have really an understanding of the application, and if you put all the security controls in place. And then the review process, I use automated tools to do the secure code reviews, like the one that I showed you before. And I do manual review. Because like I said, even the automated static code analysis tool can't replace human brain. So this is why a manual review is really important, because in the manual review, you will assess the business logic A tool can't do that. A tool can't understand the context of the application and stuff. So this is why manual review is really important. And this is the tool that I created. I will show you right now. And the tool, it is called Attack Vectors Finder Tool. So there's 3 interfaces: the information gathering phases to understand the attack surface, a search engine to do the manual review, and then findings management to help me create the report, or for yourself to have all the information that you can maybe log in your tool in your project. So let's check it out. It's always make me laugh. So the first interface, like I said, so this is the tool. It's still in a prototype version. It's done in Python. So I am still working on it, and I will be so happy if the community can help me. So this is why I want to put it on the internet to have help. So the first interface, I created a list of specific questions to ask yourself to understand the attack surface of your application. So what's the data? What's the sensitive data? Is there any security compliance that you should be on, etc.? The authorization, access control. So there's a lot of, with all of my experience, I created a list to gather quick information to go through the specific component in your application, because an application has a lot of lines of code. So to be faster, I want to know exactly where to review some stuff. The second interface is here, the search engine. It is divided in a 5 component. And it's a prototype. It's not super fashion, but it's okay. It's the way it works. So 5 security controls, which are the basic 5 best practices in secure coding guidelines. For each component, you have a knowledge base to understand what you are looking for and what you want to get from. All right. For each controls, you have keywords to check in your application. Basically, it's a grep, meaning that I go all through the structure in the source code, and I grep some specific security-related keywords. For example, in our application, let's say that we will check for authentication and session management. Let's say password. How they handle password. So it's really small, and people at work, they always laughing about me that I'm seeing all matrix code and stuff, but it works because if, and we won't go through this, don't worry about it, but when we check, basically, we can see, let's see, okay, they ask for old password and new password. This is a good practice. That's interesting. Let's see behind. Let's go. Wow, that's so cool. I see. Wow. Oops. Here. Oh, there's data. Okay. Is it production data? It's not good. If you take your data from production and for testing purposes, you put it in your dev environment, it's not good too. So here I can see those things. I can see here you are vulnerable to SQL injection because your query are dynamically built with untrusted user input. So this is another interesting, oh, here, wow, no, no. It's in your configuration file. I can see that you are using default password. So with all this search engine, with a security perspective in mind, we can find quickly information. This was for password, but there's a lot of information there, right? Sorry for that. Let's see cookie, and it's my last example. So cookie is really interesting, how they manage the cookie. Do they put some sensitive data in cookie? Because in cookie, everybody can get it, can see it. It's in the browser, it's in the client side. So, for example, cookie. Oh, right away, I can see that the cookie, they put admin egal true. Can I be an admin, please? So it's an information that will be useful. Cookie login attempts here that is managed on the client side. Can I bypass it and always attempt at one or stuff? So this is just to give you an idea that with specific keywords and specific secure code guidelines, we can have a clear understanding if you have security flaws in your business logic and in your application in general. And the tool is designed to quickly share with the pen testing information. So that's it. And the final interface is the finding one. Here. So the finding one is a centralized interface for all the findings that I had when I analyzed the application. So, and again, I can quickly share it with the pen testing. I can add new finding manually if I find some stuff in other tools, etc. So this one, it's hard at this time for me to speak English. It's okay, it's okay. I'm getting there. So, few notes about hybrid security testing. Like I said, it's a gray box perspective, all right? So, security testing starts earlier during this SDLC. So, you start at the implementation phase to do some security testing. It provides a more complete coverage of the security posture of your application. The security, and this is really interesting, the security is the responsibility of every stakeholder of the application, not just the security team. A lot of my clients say that, oh, we don't do the test, it's the security team that performs it, and nobody talk to each other and stuff. The security, application security should be the responsibility of everyone. Developer, project manager, QA, security team, everyone. And you have to share the information. So the notes about this approach, it requires teamwork, requires specialized tools, it requires security skills. The integrated security activities will need to be documented and communicated. When you adjust your SDLC with security activities, it's a new process, so you have to train your people to work all together in that way. So it seems hard to do. Actually, it is, but it's one step at a time to be sure you protect your asset to stay in business, basically. This is why, and this is how to do this in an application security perspective. So there are references that I spoke to you about. First, so OWASP, the chapter that I talked about you. You can reach us on Twitter or anything. On OWASP, like I said, it's a global community. The goal is to share information about application security, all the documentation, and there's a lot of documentation on the website of OWASP. It's all free. There's a lot of tools to help secure your application. The first documentation that is really interesting is the OWASP Top 10, the most critical web application security flaws. OWASP ASVS, it's all application security verification standards. So if you need to have a checklist of security requirements to put into your application, you can go to that reference. The OWASP testing guide, it's how to perform penetration testing. There's a code review guide as well, and this is my Bible, actually. I always work with it. And there's a lot of cheat sheets for developers. So this is really interesting to go. That's funny. I don't know. Okay, I put my reference in the last slide for my project. And And for find security bugs, the slides will be available, so you will have all the links. But this is the tool that I showed you. It was for Java specifically, and it's called Find Security Bugs. And this is it. So this is my contacts. Feel free to reach me. It will be a pleasure to discuss with you. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.